Texzilla. I'm Patrick Norton. Jessica Corbin is on assignment right now. She's doing a freelance thing. We don't know where she is, but she's somewhere at CES. Unfortunately, she'll not be joining us for this episode of Texzilla. So I have pulled, kicking and screaming, weeping and sobbing, Jim Louderback, CEO of Revision 3. What? You hate products.
I hate products. I hate CES. I hate new shiny things that go beep.
Yeah, your credit card really proves that.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a thought, what's the big trend at CES this year?
So I think green. Everybody wants to go green. You know, Dell actually brought in a big lawn and they set it up in a booth. It's really amazing.
We should say it's green. It's like amalgamated super technology may have been filling rivers in China with petrochemicals and sludge for the last 10 years, but we're looking for a greener, recyclable product. Look, and you can see the big seal eyes opening up and getting dewy and soft, because everybody's like, and it's cool actually, making products recyclable, doing less hideous things, coming out of your plants, but it's like there's a little poster or a huge display.
Right, exactly. Everybody's going green. Also design, we've seen a lot of design over the years, but boy, that whole lifestyle design thing has really taken over. And we've seen some cool products that look great, and who knows how well they're going to perform, but it doesn't matter if they look great, right? Thank you, Steve Jobs.
There's been, actually, cell phones work this year. That's a big plus. Over the years, cell phones have gotten better and better, and actually, I've only had a couple cases where I couldn't get cell phone reception, which you laugh, right? But if you've ever been in a small building with 75,000 people, all of which have cell phones and are trying to use them, it's actually kind of funny that the cell phones are actually working most of the time.
Yeah, and going to CES is like going to a war zone, especially trying to cover a show like this with 25,000 booths and a zillion plus products. Right. So the fact that there's cell phone service has been a big help.
And you laugh, but trust me, for anybody who goes to this show, it's a huge thing. Robert Hare's coming up. He's going to talk about some of the HD developments. We've got Sasha Segan, actually, another friend of ours from PC Magazine.
That's good.
Who knows every cell phone on the planet. Is going to pick the highlights on the cell phones. You and I are running fast and loose.
All over the place. And you get Lance as well on robots?
Yes.
Mr. Robot Man?
Lance Gilnoff has, actually, you know what? They're if there's one, it's just, you'll like it. It's cool.
Yeah, you'll want one. Or you'll want to kick it.
Well, don't kick the robot.
It's just too cute.
Well, you know what? We'll be right back. Hold on. The thing about CES is you can see just about anything there. The Luce del Mare from Ad Notam is a ginormous mother-of-pearl frame wrapped around one of the company's proprietary mirror image monitors. Turn off the HDTV, you've got a mirror. Stylish, but we were definitely afraid to ask the price. You keep asking about camcorders out there in Texzilla land, so we took a look at the latest offerings from Canon, Sony, and Sanyo. The lineups are getting simpler, and SD camcorders look like they're at the very beginning of being phased out. Canon's standard def camcorder lineup has gotten super simple. The R900 is the least expensive mini DV tape camera with a 41x zoom and 680,000 pixel sensor. The ZR930 adds a 1.07 megapixel sensor and a 48x zoom for $279, while the ZR950 adds an SDHC slot for photos. Canon doesn't bother putting a hard drive in their tapeless camcorders. They're all flash memory based, starting with the $399 FS100, 9.2-ounce wonder with a 1 megapixel sensor and 48x lens. It records to an SDHC card, so does the $499 FS10, which adds 8 gigabytes of internal flash memory. The $599 FS11 has 16 gigabytes of onboard memory, for hours of recording time. Canon's $1,100 Vixia HF10 can pack 6 hours of HD video onto its 16 gigabytes of memory. The Vixia HF100 drops the price to $899 but only records the SDHC cards. Both pack 3.3 megapixel sensors and 12x lenses. Canon claims these cameras are full 1920 by 1080p from lens to memory to output. Finally, Canon's replacing the HV20 HD mini DV camcorders, we use them here at Revision 3, with a $1,000 HV30, which has a 10x lens, a 2.96 megapixel sensor, and a Digic DV2 processor. At the Sony booth, the HDR SR12 takes over as Sony's top-of-the-line consumer HD camera, a 120 gigabyte hard drive that can store up to 15 hours of 1920 by 1080 video in AVC HD format. It can also take 10 megapixel stills, and face detection is a new feature, at least on video for us. The $1,100 HDR HC9 HDV high-def camcorder records a mini DV tape and adds some pro video tools like a spot meter, better focus, and a lens hood. At the entry level, Sony's $250 DCR HC52 has a 40x lens with a VGA, that's 300,000 pixel CCD. The $300 DCR HC62 is a great step up with a 1 megapixel CCD imager, 25x lens, and a memory stick slot for megapixel photos. And in case you haven't seen it, Sony's Raleigh music player is just adorable. You stream music to it via Bluetooth, and yes, you can customize the dances to each song. Big thanks to Domain.com for sponsoring Texzilla. Start with a domain name and build your web presence at domain.com. Domain.com offers affordable domain names, advanced hosting, and custom website design. The competition may seem more attractive, but often require you to bundle in other, more expensive services like hosting to get the good price. At domain.com, you can register your domain name for just $8.75 and make it private for only $5 more. And as a special offer to TechZilla fans, type in coupon code TechZilla when you're checking out, and you'll get a 25% discount on domains and hosting. Take advantage of this offer now.
One of the things we've seen at CES this year, breakthrough power technologies, and I've got a couple of them here I want to show you. First off, real fuel cells that can be used by real human beings without actually having to worry about hydrogen. This is from Horizon Power, and this device right here works with water and a special powder to actually generate about 12 hours worth of power through this. About 25 watts continuous for 12 hours on one sort of cell charge. Now, how it works is you get one of these canisters, single-use canister, buy it for 20 bucks, fill it with water, close it up, drop it in, this opens up, you drop it right in there, and then you have 30 days to use up the power, and it's about 270 watts of power. Great for emergencies. If you happen to have a problem like where the lights go out like they did for us last week, you just buy a bunch of these, put them up on the shelf, and when you have an emergency, you use it. You can recharge your notebook computer, you can run a fluorescent light bulb, you can actually use it for USB or whatever you want. Now, about $375 for this device, 20 bucks for each of these. It is pricey, but they're coming up with a less expensive, less power version that you could use to recharge simply USB devices. So right there, just recharge USB. This is what it looks like. This is what it'll look like when it ends up coming out. And the company also is showing off an interesting fuel cell development that's the future, and it's right here. This basically is using ethanol to power this little propeller. Essentially what they've done is they put a shot of vodka and some water in here, and they can run this propeller for a week on a shot of vodka. Now, I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but that's definitely the only in Vegas sort of fuel cell thing that we could find. All Horizon Power really changing the concept of fuel cells, make it really easy for you to use, and just really simple to just add water and go. In addition to that, we ran across some interesting battery replacement. This is a new silver zinc battery from Z-Power, and it's the same size as a traditional lithium-ion battery, but has a couple of advantages according to the company. First of all, it generates about 40% more power for the amount of size. So for a notebook battery, this is 40% more than your standard lithium-ion. The company claims that it won't explode like lithium-ion does every now and then, and that it lasts just about as long as well. Z-Power has a deal with a major notebook manufacturer. In July, that notebook company will be offering either traditional lithium-ion or for a slight price premium, this silver zinc, and you'll get 40% more power. So we're waiting to see who they come out with. And they're also going to be able to do it on cell phones and other things. They also claim complete recyclability, 99%. We'll see on that one. And then moving on to this is the Voltaic guys have been making bags with solar panels inside for a while. This is their brand new product. It is a $599 laptop case. They've been doing backpacks, but this is the first time you actually have a case. And inside it's got a little battery. You take it outside, you can charge it up. It takes about 8 hours of sunlight to charge up your computer. So a couple different ways to get some alternative power, from more power for your notebooks to solar to fuel cells, which are absolutely the future of rechargeable.
Hi, I'm Lance Ulanoff, editor-in-chief of PC Magazine, and WowWee, which is very famous for the Robo-Sapien robot, is coming out with a new generation of products. This one is quite exciting. This is the Rovio. It's coming out later this year. It's one of the first telepresence robots. It's going to be a real commercial product, and all that means is that the robot's at home, you're in Paris, tell the robot via a website, go to the kitchen and check the stove isn't on, go to the laundry room and check I didn't leave the iron on, and it will go there. And by the way, it knows what room it's in. This thing is self-navigating. That's pretty exciting, so makes it a practical robot. Not all robots are practical. WowWee also has the new Tribot. He's down here and he is a heck of a lot of fun. This guy, he entertains you, tells jokes, falls down, knows that he's fallen down. Knows he's falling down, plays games. This remote, by the way, is unusual because it's gyroscopic. I hold the button and I turn the direction he goes. So that That's new, that's nifty, and by the way, it's a lot of fun and very intuitive for robotics. So the Rovio is going to be available later this year for $299, and the Tribot should be available this summer for $99. I'm Lance Ulanoff, editor-in-chief of PC Magazine here at CES 2008.
I am ready to go live casting with this new helmet. It's 350 bucks or so, just starting to ship. I got the camera up here, I can do my extreme sports as I go around, and it's got a helmet so that if I hit the ground, I don't break my noggin. That's kind of cool. You can upload the videos up to their site, and live casting was never so easy, nor so safe.
Joining us now on TechZilla, perhaps the finest reviewer of HDTVs in the world, the man, the myth, the legend, PC Magazine's very own, and my former co-host on DLTV, Mr. Robert Heron.
Dude, thank you.
Good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too.
Anything exciting? Like, is there any real, price push? Seems to be a lot of 50 and 65-inch plasmas out there.
Yeah. Prices in general are coming down, but for me, really, it's the design trend I'm seeing across the board. Not only are panels, flat panels in general, becoming thinner, which is good for a lot of things, but the bezel designs, what frames the panel itself, they're shrinking those down to ever thinner levels, and it just makes them look good. And on top of the picture improvement qualities that are happening, it's just this year's designs are focusing on some of my favorite parts of that. Also, multimedia support. I'm seeing more TVs now with network jacks for doing home networking, streaming of multimedia content, in addition to some are even featuring some of the early generations of Wi-Fi technology as well. But it's really the networking features that I'm seeing. And of course, they're adding more and more HDMI ports for easy connectivity of multiple devices, because it seems like having just two HDMI ports, or forbid one, is no longer the trend. They're aware that people need that expandability.
The very first OLED television.
Indeed. Sony actually introduced the XEL1 in Japan a couple months ago, and now it's available in the United States for about $2,500 for an 11-inch widescreen display. Tiny and expensive, yes, but they're showing prototypes of 27 and 31-inch displays from Sony and Samsung here at the show. We're talking thin, 2 or 3 millimeters for the panel itself, usually in a frame that's a few millimeters thicker than that, just to protect it a little bit, but razor thin, surface emitting light technology, so you get perfect viewing angles. Saturation of color is awesome because, in essence, when it's off or showing black, it is no light coming from the display as well, so it's superb contrast ratios. They're claiming like 100,000 to 1 or some obscene number, which becomes meaningless like we were talking about.
They are pretty. So, of course, we have a new world record largest flat panel display.
Yeah.
Is it 150 inches?
150 inches.
From Panasonic.
2K by 4K resolution, which is a lot, 8 megapixels. And at 150 inches, Panasonic's new, it's not even a prototype. They're claiming they're going to have this shipping by the end of the year, and they're taking orders currently for their 150-inch plasma technology.
And we should point out, like, the 103-inch plasma, I believe it was last year, apparently they sold a few thousand of those.
That is pretty impressive. Pretty much anybody who needed a large format flat panel display at that size but couldn't do a projection system for whatever reason, maybe there was too much light in the environment or whatever.
The neighbors had one.
That's what drove those sales. That and bragging rights for things like sports and movie stars and whatever.
I think like 80% of those went to Hollywood and the other 80% of them went to Dubai. So anything, I mean, there's the short throw projectors. Have you seen these things?
I've seen a couple. I saw one from Hitachi. They had a new one that used a parabolic mirror, and they had it literally, I would say, about a foot away from the screen. The beauty of those, in the sense they mounted it on the ceiling, it was projecting onto a wall, so the presenter, if they were using it in that type of environment, wouldn't be casting a shadow on the screen because the light path is going behind them, totally. And I think for that environment, and for maybe home use as well, for if you just don't have the space to do long throw projection, this is a good option. But currently I'm seeing it mostly directed toward presentation or business style applications. But it's here and it's working, and it's impressive in the fact that they're able to bend that light the way they are without creating distortion in the image.
I see your editor waving, which means we've got to let you go. Any more exciting things? Any more HDTV stuff? It's like kind of grabbing you by the throat and getting you excited?
I have to say the improvements in the LED TV or LCD TVs that everyone loves so much. They're doing more LED backlighting systems, yet everyone I've seen is nobody's talking prices because they're still expensive, and I don't expect them to come down in price anytime soon, at least this year, significantly. But it is improving things like color output. The panels are getting larger, and the prices are coming down for some of the models that are out right now.
What's the website?
We can hit up PCMag.com and click on our CES button for more coverage.
Dude, thank you so much for your time. And now it's back to the show floor for more products.
So this is the TV that everybody is talking about at CES, not because they can afford it, it's $2,500, but because of what it means for the future. This is an OLED television, OLED. It's the first time I've seen a screen this big, and one of the cool things about it, look as I turn it. Look how thin the screen is. The technology allows you to create these screens that are really no thicker than a couple cards stacked together. Now this is a full-on HD, it's got HDMI in the background, you can plug stuff in and watch it, little speaker here. But at $2,500, unless you're Bill Gates, you're probably not gonna buy one. However, Sony thinks they can get this technology to the point where you can produce TVs like this that are as affordable as any other TV. I'm skeptical, we'll wait and see, but still, this cool little thin TV is absolutely one of the neatest things here at CES 2008. Digital photo frames, they're not only getting bigger, they're adding lots of capabilities too. Take a look at this one. This is from Siva. It's a connected photo frame, which means you can hook it up to the internet and download photos, or hook it up to a Windows Media Server or a home server, which is interesting. 19 inches across right here, big and heavy, $400 when it ships in the middle of this year. Big is also what you think when you look at this Westinghouse. Now, it's a little bit smaller than the Siva, but it's a 16:9 screen, 15.6 inches, I think. This also due out in the spring for about $330. The pictures on here look beautiful. Viewing angle's not that good. This has got actually a really nice viewing angle. This is pretty high def, pretty high quality. And then moving on here, this is from Mustech, much smaller. But the thing that sets this apart, this $130 system, which is available this spring as well, it's got an iPod dock. So you can stick your iPod in it, play your movies, play your photos, and you know, we've got all sorts of photo screens here for all different types. I don't know about you, but I'll take the biggest ones I can get. That's why I like this one and this one. They'll be coming home with me.
We'd like to thank Data Robotics for sponsoring TechZilla at CES. Data Robotics Drobo is the easiest way to protect your data, and it expands forever. Award-winning, the highest CNET rating for storage ever, and you can save $50 when you buy a Drobo by mentioning the discount code TechZilla.
I got somebody for you right now who's going to tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the cell phone announcements here at CES. Why should you care? Well, one, he's the guy I go to because I have his personal email address, and two, the man has personally reviewed more cell phones than anybody I know in the entire industry. Sasha Segan, PC Mag, what are your favorite things at the show this year? What's standing out?
A couple of the cell phone manufacturers pretty much sat out the show with big US releases because there's some cell phone only trade shows coming up in the next couple of months. There's Mobile World Congress in February, there's CTIA at the beginning of April, so you're going to see a lot more activity in terms of handset releases then. But still, they trickled out some interesting stuff. Motorola's Rocker E8 is an interesting music phone. It has a morphing keypad.
Really?
Yeah, the keypad looks like a normal phone keypad until you kick it into music mode, at which point all the numbers disappear and all you see is music controls.
I like that.
You kick it into camera mode, all the music controls disappear, all you see is camera controls.
Does this mean cell phones are starting to suck less as music players?
Well, people are really focusing on, the iPhone has really focused people on the user interface problem. And the Rocker E8 is a really nice step towards solving this problem of too many cell phones right now are still designed as, oh, it's a telephone, and we have 95 other features buried under 6 menus that you can't get to.
Click, click, click. All right, I'm almost to the music interface. Click the media player, and then like 3 more layers to play an MP3.
So the Rocker E8 is a good take on that.
Okay.
Sony Ericsson had some interesting releases. Their W760 does some neat stuff with motion control. They have an accelerometer in there, so when it's playing music, yeah, if you shake it, you can turn up the volume. If you shake it this way, you can go to the next track, and then you can play games by tilting the phone, like a driving game. You can steer by tilting the phone.
That's fun.
That's a neat technology, yeah.
And the shaking interface, it actually works really well. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play with. Now, there were some smaller manufacturers here that were kicking around some interesting ideas. There's a Swedish company called Neonode that has this tiny little lozenge of a phone that's entirely controlled by finger gesture controls.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the iPhone interface taken to another level. You're swiping and sweeping and making little designs on the screen, and that's what controls the phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's an interesting trick. And then iRiver, the MP3 player manufacturer, has their first ever cell phone here at CES. It's a smartphone, and wow, is it an iPhone ripoff. So that'll be interesting. They say they're going to come out with a lot of iPhone-like capabilities and undercut the iPhone on price.
Got it.
And so that'll be interesting. Now, from the accessories perspective, there's 2 Bluetooth headsets that are really jazzing me up right now. One of them is the Invisio, I think it's the Q7 or something like that, uses bone conduction to sense your voice. So it blocks out all external noise because it's just grabbing the voice from inside your head.
Sounds like a military tape because basically, so it's bone conduction.
Exactly.
No microphone whatsoever.
There is a microphone, but for your own voice, it's much preferring the bone conducted sound.
Does it sound like your voice, or does it sound kind of off because it's coming through bone conduction rather than an external microphone?
It sounds like your voice in a Bluetooth headset.
Ah,
But it sounds like your voice in a Bluetooth headset without the truck passing by.
that's a big plus.
Exactly.
I like that thought.
And then the other headset that I'm really interested in is something called the Iqua Sun, which is a solar-powered Bluetooth headset. Charge it once when you get it, you never have to recharge it for 3 years. And it can even charge with indoor light.
Really?
So, yeah, so as long as you're wearing it, basically, it's charging.
So you've basically been indoors most of the last 4 days. You haven't run out of power yet.
Absolutely not.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, that's really neat.
I like that thought. One last question. Blue Ant's been talking about a new Bluetooth headset that's going to be voice activated. So no buttons, is it working? Is it out there? Have you had a chance to look at it?
Well, it does have one button.
Okay.
But yeah, I tried it out, and it's pretty nice. The voice activation works. What's interesting is that it has to deal with negotiating with the voice activation on your phone as well. So it starts with, by default, you're issuing the headset voice commands like redial or pick up the phone or dial favorite number 5. And then you can tell it to hand over to the phone if you want to dial by name. It's pretty smooth. It's very nice.
Any other accessories leaping out? Any particularly lovely, furry, cartoon character cell phone covers or?
No other accessories, but something just popped to mind that I did want to talk about, which is LG and Samsung inaugurated a pointless format war at this show. You know how well those always work out.
Blu-ray and HDTV.
Exactly. Beta and VHS. Well, in this case, it's something called MPH versus AVSB for in-band digital television broadcast to mobile devices. And MPH and AVSB do the exact same thing, which is broadcasting your local TV channels to mobile devices, not the national media flow stuff. This is like local channel 3, local channel 6 to mobile devices. They do almost the exact same thing. They seem to have relatively similar specs, except they're completely incompatible.
Well, isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
And just what we need. Another way to make it more confusing to buy cell phones and do the coolest new stuff with them.
Exactly.
Quick question for you before we go. The website to find all of your reviews and your information from CES
is www.pcmag.com. You can also check our blog at gearlog.com for little tidbits that don't make it onto the main site.
Awesome stuff. Sasha, thank you so much.
Great talking to you.
You have an iPod, you got a lot of our video on it. Well, here's something that I think you're really gonna like. Creative just launched it, and it's this right here. It's the Xdock HD. Now what it does, it lets you take one of those new modern iPods with all the video on it from revision 3, and it converts it up to 720p. Right here it's got component out and HDMI out, and so what happens is it converts it, and this is actually a 320 by 240 video. It's converting to 720p, and you know what, I gotta say it looks pretty darn good. You see a little bit of movement over there in the eyeballs and a little bit of blockiness in the sky, but it's doing a really good job of taking the video on your iPod, putting it up on a big flat screen so that if you're watching Techzilla or Dig Nation or any of the shows that we're running, put it on your iPod, download it there, and then run it on your TV. The only problem, well, there's 2 of them. First of all, it's going to cost you $400, and it's not going to be available until the spring. But with that aside, this is a pretty cool product. It is the Xdock HD from Creative.
We'd like to thank DNS Stuff for sponsoring Techzilla at CES. DNS, just 3 little letters representing such a critical component of your business. DNSstuff.com is a one-stop location containing every single tool and technique currently available to help make managing DNS as easy as possible. Their flagship tool, DNS Report, is the most comprehensive and powerful way to check the health of your DNS. 56 tests run against your domain in 8 seconds. Type in Techzilla into the coupon code when you buy a tool set and get $10 off. Riyadh emails in and says, hey, XstreamHD sounds amazing. Is it worth getting? Have you seen it yet? It sounds like a cool way to get HD content, 1080p, to my home theater. All right, Riyadh, it is a really interesting concept. Satellite dish delivery, HD content, 1080p, to a small home server that distributes its devices around your home, can do 4
4 separate HD streams at once if, and this is the big if, you have gigabit Ethernet inside your house. They prefer gigabit Ethernet to get the most quality. There's some interesting stuff in here. MPEG-2, MPEG-4, the ability to decode FLAC, and delivering high quality content. What does this mean to you, Riyadh? Well, you know what? It could be an amazing way to get 1080p content into your house. Now, there's going to be a $10 a month fee. There's going to be a per charge for movie. It's really a rental system, and there's the whole queuing and waiting thing. So there's a lot of things unsolved. It's all going to hinge around whether or not they can get the deals with the studios. If they can, this could be a huge, huge end step around the whole HD DVD Blu-ray battle. All right, we're thrashed, we're beat, we walk at most of the show floor, but the truth is we really come to CES because we want to solve our tech problems more than anything else. And Jim has a really good one.
Well, and you know, I come to you every couple months with my home theater crisis of the month, and it's I need an A to D or I need this and that. And what happens is I end up coming to the Geffen booth, and they've solved my problems. Usually the problem is that it's too expensive, but it's happened again. I have like 3 big crises.
But some of these are actually really affordable.
Okay, so first of all, I need a low-cost A to D and D to A. I got digital audio, I need to turn it into to regular analog audio. I got analog audio, and I got to turn it to digital. These things do not exist until today. Geffen's got them, and they're only, for Geffen, this is practically like giving candy away to babies. It's $60. So I am going to get these and bring them home. I'm going to solve problem number 1. Problem number 2 that I need to solve is right here. Unfortunately, this is like a $500 device, so I probably won't take this one home.
It's the extract and process multi-channel analog audio from HDMI.
Here's what it does. HDMI goes in, audio and video digital in. It converts the audio out and splits it out so you can do things with it. Another problem that I have.
Like running it on your existing 5.1 Dolby analog?
Right, exactly.
It doesn't have an HDMI input?
Yeah, so cool, but again, $600 is probably too much. I can probably get another amplifier for that. But anyway, cool that they're doing this and lots of ins and outs. The final problem I have is I want to move all my HDMI around the house, and unfortunately the length is like 12 feet, otherwise it breaks apart.
Well, you can get like 30 with a good cable.
But I ran optical in my house when we did our redo. And look at this.
He has an optical network in his house.
Well, no, I haven't terminated it yet. Now I have to figure out how to. HDMI into this wall plate, turn around, optical out. Now I can use optical to send that HDMI signal from my basement, where all my components are, to my kitchen, where I end up watching most of my video.
I like that.
So there's a bunch of other cool new stuff here, including an HD PVR right here that $1,000, but it'll get HDMI in and lets you record, which is kind of cool.
HDCP compliant too on 80 gigabyte internal hard drive.
Exactly. What else do you see here? Oh,
actually,
you like
what
this
may be
thing,
my
right?
favorite product is the TV signal generator. So if you actually want to do get your Robert Heron on and do some serious tuning of your television. So you basically
what button do I hit?
444, 444, 442 for RGB, YUV, YUV, and actually they have all of the patterns you could ever want to throw at, and including some audio patterns you can run through too.
It's so pretty.
I like it.
You know, after all this time at CES, can I just sit here and watch that?
It's soothing, isn't it? That's not so soothing.
In a strange sort of corporeal way.
I think that's about the way to close it. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Jim Louderback, and I am not leaving the Geffen booth until I've spent $1,000. Oh my God.
I have to get him out of here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Email us techzilla@revision3.com. Techzilla.com, that's with a K, is the website. Jessica Corbin's back next week. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to look at the shiny object.
I wonder what this one does.
Don't touch that.